It's showtime.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
You know, the right to bear arms is because that's the last form of defense against tyranny.
Washington is fundamentally corrupt. There are more words in the IRS code than there are in the Bible.
Made in America, heard round the world. You're listening to Blunt Force Truth. I'm Chuck Woolery, along with my co-host Mark Young. And welcome everybody on Twitter and around the world. Nice to have you here. We're now I understand that Google is being questioned softly and carefully by the Congress today, the worldwide church, the Catholic Church of Google. Catholic meaning worldwide, not Roman Catholic.
Yes, the president of Google is currently lying before Congress as we speak.
Yeah. And nobody's pressing him on it. Gerald Nadler is like running interference for them, which is interesting.
And Gerald Nadler, our trusty research expert,
who after the first of the year is going to be head of the Judiciary Committee. Is that what he's head of, I believe?
It was something like that.
Very
but Gerald
powerful
Nadler,
position.
Patrick just showed us that Jerry Nadler has received $26,000 from Google.
Well, that's hardly a drop in the bucket for somebody in Congress.
But it certainly makes you question. That's just from Google. That doesn't talk about how much money Google executives gave him. That's actually from the company.
Are you talking about in
campaign funds, campaign contributions? Funds. Yes.
I thought that was you could only give like $2,500. Is that right?
No, not if you have a PAC. If you have a corporate PAC, you can give large amounts of money.
Oh, okay.
Google has all kinds of corporate PACs and stuff. Anyways, Chuck, I literally just flew in from Denver. Just landed about an hour and a half ago. I'm still higher than the cost of living just from the contact highs of walking through downtown.
Higher than the cost of living. It's so high you could duck hunt with a rake.
The people are on the streets of Denver. There are homeless people on the streets of Denver with the wafting scent of marijuana just floating on the streets.
You know, without being pro-con, whatever it is, I'm obviously I don't think it's a good idea. I've never been a marijuana smoker. My children don't do it, as far as I know. But I must say, I think that these states and cities who have done this, who've legalized marijuana, are going to come to regret it.
I think so too.
I really
Crime's
do.
already up in Denver, in Colorado. Crime's up 30% from what I've been told. But anyways, just got back in. A lot of fun stuff happening. Folks, if you are watching us on Twitter right now, please do me a favor. Look down. You'll see a little retweet button at the bottom of the frame that you're watching. Click it right now. Go ahead. We'll wait. Okay. Now we can move on.
I kept looking for mine. I didn't have one.
So, Chuck, we're going to first thing we're going to do is the name of today's show is The Left is Accusing God of Being a Rapist. I'm not making that up.
Oh, yeah. You know, every Christmas we go through this kind of stuff. I mean, this ridiculous, over the top, crazy. I mean, you know, candy canes they look like the first letter of the word of Jesus. And I mean, it's just nuts. I wonder if people look at this and just shake their head and go, who's so stupid that they would do something like this or say something like this?
Well, but
it's an all-out assault on everything spiritual, everything Christmas, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm going to tell you who says it. So this is Minnesota State University liberal whack job Professor Eric Sprankle.
Well, it always comes out of some crazy university professor's mouth, most of this stuff. But go ahead.
Here's the reason. He says that God is a rapist.
Because of Virgin Mary. He didn't get her permission.
Yes, he raped a 14-year-old girl without her permission. Now, clearly, Professor Sprankle, whatever the hell he calls himself, has never read the Bible.
I know. It doesn't matter. They can say this stuff, and if people don't know, they kind of go, well, that's interesting. I never thought of that before.
Well, because let me help them out.
Well, you know, most people are uninformed or don't care or whatever, and you know, that's just a fact we have to live with. So these people say these things, and they get away with it with a pretty good portion of the American people, I guess, or the world.
Well, the bottom line is that if you go to, let me make sure here, is it Luke 1:38 that I'm looking for? I am the Lord's servant, Mary answered. May your word to me be fulfilled. In other words, Mary said
permission.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the professor can respond to that because she was only 14 years old. The professor happens to know what her age was.
Mm-hmm.
And she was 14, which, by the way, in this country in 1776, 14 was old enough to join the Revolutionary Army.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So what was 14 2,000 years ago?
Yeah, people who don't understand history and don't know history always apply history to today, which in many cases, it just doesn't work. It's not the same. We don't live in the same kind of world. But, there it is.
It just dumbfounds me. So, I mean, and of course, as you just pointed out, they always have to come up with this crap at Christmas.
Well, it's an ongoing battle for the hearts and minds of people. It's a natural deterioration if you look at it. Most religion, you know me, I don't like religion at all. I'm a spiritual guy. I believe in the Bible.
Very much so.
I believe in Christ. I believe he died for our sins. I believe all the fundamentals of what religion is, what many religions are based on, the Christian religion too. But religion itself, I've just never cared about organized religion. I think they damage so many things. They cause so many problems, and it has nothing to do with a personal involvement with God. So that's my own personal take on that. But at this time of year, look, Santa Claus is hardly a spiritual thing. And they attack Santa Claus all the time. Well, Santa Claus is Saint Nick. It's a tradition that's been handed down. It doesn't bother me. I mean, we celebrate Christmas in many ways, and that's just one of the way they've turned it into an advertising kind of coup. And certainly, if you think about it, in its true sense, it's kind of an attack on Christmas too, because people have lost sight as to what Christmas is really all about. It's not about Santa Claus. It's about Jesus and God, providing a savior for the world. So it just seems like they're picking away. And let me further illustrate this. If you look at Europe today with what's going on in London, Paris, Germany, whatever, all of those faith nations have literally lost their faith. They aren't faithful nations anymore like our nation used to be.
No, the churches are dying. Canada's the same way, by the way.
Yeah, it's dying under a socialist kind of led, government and ideology. So the new ideology is socialism, and it replaced Christianity, which is exactly what they're after in this country as well. They're trying their best to replace us with socialism. As you watch France on fire, I had a friend of mine named Larry Collins back in the 70s. You didn't know him, Mark, but Larry Collins and Dominic LaPierre were very famous authors. And they were, Larry was especially a good friend of mine. And he wrote a book called Is Paris Burning? And
it is now.
Well, that was my point. The point is, Hitler had set up with his generals when they exited Paris, when they were kicked out of Paris by the Americans. Hitler said, I want Paris burned down. So burn it to the ground. And every day he would call and say, is Paris burning? Is it burning yet? And of course, the generals didn't want to do it. And so they didn't do it. So it was never accomplished. But your point is well taken. Today, Paris is burning.
Yeah, they're doing it themselves.
It's only 70 some years later that they're setting it on fire. I was looking at Mount Blanc, not the mountain, but the store. It's all shuttered up. You can't buy an ink pen at Mount Blanc anymore.
Those are my favorite pens, not Mont Blanc. Don't do anything to Mont Blanc.
It just so happened I happened to see that store, Mount Blanc store, with the pens and all the stuff that they sell, and it's all shuttered up, and all the tourists can't go into the Champs-Elysees now because it's filled with rioters. They got problems over there. I really believe the EU is going to eventually just fall because it's going to fall of its own weight. You can't have a bureaucratic government out of Brussels telling everybody in the EU what to do and expect them to be, to stand it for very long. They may do it for a while. They obviously have. But, I mean, Brexit's going to – I think The big thing they have with the British coming out of the EU is they're afraid that if the British actually get away with this and they accomplish it, then who's next? Italy, France, Germany, whoever, and it will just literally implode. And then everybody go back to their own currency, and they won't have the euro dollar anymore, and all of that control over the entire, countries. Do you want somebody in Brussels to tell you what to do and how to do it?
I don't want somebody in Washington, D.C. to tell me what to do either.
Right. It's all a matter of, liberty, freedom, and what nobody over there has anymore. But yeah, most Americans don't even know that. They don't realize that, Europe is basically socialist.
That's because they're not over there. But you said something about I want to go back to something. You said that the liberals are vilifying Santa Claus. Mm-hmm. Doesn't Santa Claus just run around and give away free crap? Doesn't he?
Yeah, you would think they'd love him. You'd think they love him, but they what they do is they attack every tradition. How doesn't matter how it's related or whether it's spiritual or whether it's secular. It doesn't matter. They'll just attack it. They're attacking Christmas. It's nothing new. They do it every year.
That is crazy. Well, if you are just joining with us and if you are watching us on Twitter, reach down, click the retweet button so that we can make sure that we share this valuable information that Chuck Woolery is sharing with the world right now.
Something I don't understand, Mark, and I'll never get my head.
There is nothing that you don't understand, my friend. Why would you say something like that?
I just don't understand. I don't understand the 2 years of the beatings that Donald Trump has taken within the government, within the deep state, when you got 95 to 98% of your government that's against you, plus the media, plus everybody else on the street. And the sole purpose of all of this is the Mueller investigation. It's not a criminal investigation. It's a political investigation. It never has to stop. It could go on till the 2020 elections, and probably will. Whether they have anything or not doesn't really matter because it's political. So this guy gets up every morning, puts his clothes on, and smiles and does what he needs to do for the country. And you would think that everybody in the country hates him, which they don't. But boy, I'm telling you something. I just don't understand who could withstand these withering attacks day after day. I just don't know. Thank God we have him.
I completely get him, and I get his personality. He lives for the fight.
Well, boy, he's sure got it on his hand. He's fighting the entire government. I mean, it's not just, everybody keeps talking about the Democrats. I do that too. And the socialists and blah, 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 and all that. Listen, there are a lot of Republicans who cannot stand him. They keep saying that if they impeach him in the House, it'd never go through the Senate. I'm not so sure of that. There are a lot of Republicans in the Senate that would like to get rid of him too. They don't like him.
Yeah, they couldn't afford it though, because it would cost them their seats.
Yeah, well,
because he is too popular. Mm-hmm. Right now, you've got the big deal that the liberals are holding on to right now is Mueller's about to come out with the big Russian connection.
Yeah, and everything is an impeachable offense, no matter what it is.
Now, here's the Russian connection, in case, I'm sure you know, but in case our listeners don't. Here's the Russian connection. The Russian connection is that his former attorney, Cohen, claims that he did lie to investigators about the dates in which he was involved talking to Russian business people about building a Trump Tower in Moscow. And that there was an individual who did recommend a meeting with Putin that did suggest that, it's according to Cohen, that meeting with Putin would be like a guarantee of the deal. It would be good for the deal. It'd be good for the election. The meeting never happened, and Trump pulled out of the deal.
And well, nothing ever happened. It's just it's the allegation.
Okay, but here's what Mueller's holding on to. He's holding on to, had the meeting happened and had the president done the investment, he could have profited by hundreds of millions, and that could have affected how he would be a president.
Well, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Exactly. That's the Russian deal now. But what if this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this, then this could have happened. So the other thing that they're really hanging on to now is Stormy Daniels. Stormy's back because now we're saying because he violated campaign finance laws.
You know what? I am sick of that story. I'm sick of the perversion that's involved with that story. Listen, $17 million have been paid out by Congress secretly with DMs
of government money,
of taxpayer money. It's a slush fund of millions of dollars to pay their dalliances, whatever they are, and to keep them secret, and to, this goes on. It's like it's okay for you, but not for him. It's just nuts, and that's going to go nowhere. That is.
Well, here's the bigger part of it. First off, they're saying that he violated campaign finance laws by $280,000.
Obama, $2 million.
3.2 million.
Oh, okay, I knew there was a 2 there somewhere.
And the normal way that you handle a violation of a campaign finance law is with a fine.
It's civil usually, yeah.
It is. Obama paid a $200,000 or $300,000 fine, and life goes on. But here's the issue: the campaign finance laws were written by who? Politicians. By politicians.
Okay, yeah, right. To protect themselves.
What do politicians do? They always leave themselves an exit the size of a Boeing 747, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the deal. And I just spent 2 days with our lawyers. I mean, we were traveling together. The campaign finance law requires, to find someone guilty of violating it, it requires that you can establish intent, which means they have to prove that Donald Trump, who had never been in politics in his entire life, who is a billionaire, who had an attorney that said, we had this issue, and when he said, well, go fix it, because remember, giving her $140,000 was a rounding error to Donald Trump, money-wise, right? Yeah. So it's not like I'm going to give this a lot of thought. They have to prove that his intention in his heart and mind was to deliberately violate the campaign finance laws. Now, what my attorney was telling me yesterday was it's impossible to prove the intent. That's why the politicians put it in there. To save themselves.
You can't tell what other people are thinking or what's in their heart.
Exactly. You must establish intent to find guilty. So, in other words, no one can be found guilty.
Right. And nobody has been found guilty. Oh, they've been found guilty, but they tried to do it to John Edwards about 10 years ago, something like that.
That's exactly what my attorney said, and it went nowhere.
Yeah.
He said, this is exactly the same as John Edwards, and he said it goes nowhere. Mm-hmm. What they're trying to do is they're just trying to make Donald Trump unreelectable.
It's political. It's all political. It's all about winning the next election for the Democrats.
It's just about making him unelectable. That's all this is about. I mean, this whole nonsense, this whole nonsense about, well, there was a meeting about putting up a building. He's a developer.
Yeah, that's what he does for a living. Thank you.
Right. He builds buildings all over the world.
He's not allowed to do that. He wasn't the president. Once you put a foot into politics, you're not allowed to do anything else by the politicians because, look, there's a level of jealousy. There is a incredible level of hatred, just pure, simple hatred for him that is almost unexplainable.
It's sickening, isn't it?
It is absolutely sickening. It really is. And all they're trying to do is separate his voters from him, and they will go to any lengths to do that. And when this Mueller investigation is over, it's going to be a pounding accusation of Donald Trump, and they'll never be able to prove anything. It'll just say yes, but we know he did it. We just can't prove it.
So I asked one of our lawyers who I was with, and he's actually a Democrat. Mm-hmm. And I said to him, I go, what's the legal definition of the term unindicted co-conspirator?
There's no such thing, is there?
You know what his answer was?
No.
He says, it's an innocent man.
They just made that up.
Right. An unindicted co-conspirator means he's innocent.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. But it sounds so,
It sounds horrible, And he elaborated on that, and that is so he made it clear for me, there is no such legal term as an unindicted co-conspirator. There is no such crime. There is no such term. Nowhere in any type of legal precedents or laws will you ever find the term unindicted co-conspirator. It is a created word that they're using to try to damage the president.
Well, it's been around for a long time. They've used this a lot. They use it probably with Reagan and Nixon. They're you got to give it to them. They're real good at this stuff. They're real good at manufacturing words and making you believe they're real.
So when you use the word co-conspirator, I mean, that just sounds, it sounds horrible.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, you think about, treason and things of that nature. Yeah. And then unindicted. So what people are getting out of unindicted was, well, they just haven't got him yet.
Exactly. And that's exactly how this report's going to come out. This report's going to come out of, we should be able to get him. Maybe we'll get him after, if he's elected for a second term, we'll get him as he leaves office. Because, Schiff and all those guys are all out there saying that now. Well, wait till he leaves office. We'll indict him then.
That guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Shifty says that he's sure that they're going to put him in jail. There's no question. He's going to go to jail.
Schiff uses some of that $17 million, too, that was paid out.
Of course he does. But he knows the president's going to do jail time. But his concern is that he won't be able to do the jail time until he's out of office. That they'll have to indict him when he gets out.
Boy, don't you just get... It's frustrating and tiring after a while. It really is. I have to admit, here we are, and we're just like every other American who pays close attention. You just get worn. They just wear you out.
Well, you're like every other American who pays attention and has an invite to the White House Christmas party. Let's add that to your everyday American status.
I am going to spend the money and go. It's going to cost me a fortune to get there and go. By the time we get through the gowns and the suits. I've gained so much weight.
You're not paying to go. It's just the cost of wardrobe and travel. There's
There's
no fee involved to being a guest.
Wardrobe, travel, food, hotel. We're going to stay in Trump's hotel, by the way.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you took that recommendation. I love Trump hotels.
Yeah, I'm sure it's. I've
been staying in Trump hotels for years, and the service in them is magnificent.
I'm sure that's true.
I did this real quick. At one of the Trump hotels, my wife and I are at a Trump hotel. We're walking across the street, and the doorman from the outside calls over across the street to us, calls us by name, and blocks the traffic so we can cross the street. We walk into the lobby. As we're walking into the lobby, the person at the front desk greets us by name. We turn left to the elevators, and there's another bellman there holding an elevator door and saying, "We've already pushed your floor. It's number 20, Mr. and Mrs. Young. Have a nice evening."
You wonder how there must be some way, but telepathically they do that.
Well, they all wear earpieces like Secret Service.
Oh, I say, okay, yeah.
But how's that for attention to detail?
Sure. It makes you feel special.
Here's the best part. Here's the best part. We went to that same hotel. We drove to Trump Hotel. And, I like my cars. Right. So I valet parked my car. When we came back out to get in the car, it was sitting at the door washed.
Wow. Nice.
And I came out, I'm like, my car's been washed. Well, of course, Mr. Young. We couldn't let a beautiful car like that sit here and not be clean.
And that's
awesome.
Why politicians hate him.
Right, because he makes things happen.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's an incredible experience. So if you just joined us, make sure you click down there, hit that retweet button, and Rusty Humphreys is standing by. He will be looking at your comments and questions, so start firing them at us. Chuck, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
I know, hard for me to say too.
She is now very angry.
Oh, wow. What's she mad about?
She's mad because people are picking on her.
Because they don't take her seriously?
Well, she said that they elected Paul Ryan when he was 28, and everyone thought he was intelligent, and she was elected at 29, but because she's a Puerto Rican and a woman, they all think that she needs to be discredited. And I'm like, no, it's just because you're an idiot, and Paul Ryan wasn't an idiot.
Yeah, race and gender. Played both those cards. Well, Paul Ryan, it's very funny when Nancy Pelosi was positioning herself to run again for the Speaker of the House, I kept tweeting out, I said, why don't you just elect Paul Ryan? He's done such a great job for you. Why even worry about Nancy Pelosi?
I think they should go straight to Hillary Clinton, but that's just my opinion.
Well, show that.
So anyways, Ms. Cortez is now decided. She's angry that Donald Trump Jr. has been mocking her.
Yeah.
And you are not allowed to mock would-be members of Congress, even though her I was going to say coronation, but she says she's having an inaugural.
Correct.
So she actually tweeted to him that he should be a lot more careful with who he's going after when one of those people is going to have congressional subpoena power in a month. She just threatened the son of the president with a subpoena because he laughs at her.
Everybody laughs at her. Come on.
I'm assuming that there will be subpoenas for Chuck Woolery and for myself coming any day now.
What can I say?
But come on. Does anybody not see this? The behavior of these people, they behave like tyrants. Well, that's a tyrant that does something like that. Not somebody who's for freedom.
That's exactly what the bureaucrats in Europe do. I mean, when you talk about the unaccountable deep state of bureaucracy, they are accountable to no one, and they can do what they want to do when they want to do it. I mean, it's just exactly what it is. It takes away your freedom. It allows them to be tyrannical, and unless you keep that in check all the time, I mean, when the founding fathers said, you're going to have to spill a little blood every now and then for freedom, they weren't kidding. It's just one of those things that the natural process of government is to take away the freedoms of the people if you allow it to happen. And we've allowed it in this country. We have.
That's how a dictator behaves.
Yeah. Well, that's what they are, little dictators.
I mean, she's literally saying, I don't care who you are, Donald Trump Jr. I don't care if you have First Amendment rights. I've got a congressional subpoena power.
Well, she has a lot of false sense of power now. I mean, she doesn't have the power, obviously. It's ridiculous. Not. But she has that sense that she does, because now she's one of the 540, whatever it is, number. Yeah,
545.
Yeah.
She is going to immediately, when she gets there, she's going to walk all three chambers of Congress. Mm-hmm. That's what she said. She's going to get to know everybody in all three chambers. And on day one, she's going to sign she's going to do? She's going to sign Medicare for all in day one. And on day two, she's going to sign the free college tuition for everyone. I know. Isn't that great? So, Chuck, I wanted to ask you a question. How are you doing with that little itching thing that you have on the front of your shins from time to time?
Well, I mean, it's a constant source of irritation, but I have Derman to help me out with it, and it really does help. And you want to tilt that down a little bit and put it in frame.
How's that?
There you go. Now you
good?
can see it.
I got it?
Yeah.
Would it be better?
Yeah, this is a product that absolutely works. I mean, it's just amazing that it's one of those anti-itch things that when you itch, it scratches it for you, and it does it in a very short period of time.
This stuff is amazing. And by the way, I know these people very well. These are awesome people. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're just incredible people. These people make Derman. They make the anti-itch, the bruise lotion. They make the fragile skin. These people also make HelioCare, which is another product that I just love. But this product here, this is the reason this is important, especially as we get older and we get the itching issue, is because the majority of the itch products are made out of hydrocortisone, and hydrocortisone thins our skin. So it might stop the itch for a couple of minutes, but then it makes the problem, it exacerbates the problem in the future. This does not have hydrocortisone.
When I would walk down the aisles of, I won't mention the drugstores because everybody knows them, but the same place that this is sold.
CVS Pharmacy or Walgreens.
So you walk down the aisles and I would see these things that say they had cortisone for itch. It was like a cortisone product. And I tried all of these things. I mean, it was one of those, situations where I had something on my arm here. You can't see it now because it's gone, but boy, it itched, and wasn't a bump or a rash or anything. It just itched like crazy, and I would scratch it so hard that it would bleed, and it would never satisfy no matter what. I'd just keep itching it like it was poison ivy.
That sounds terrible.
Well, it was like a senior itch thing. It's exactly what it was. And so I tried all of those cortisone products on it. I bought 2 or 3, and they didn't work. They just did not work. They didn't even work for a little while. And then when I tried this other product, this Derman product, it stopped it right away. And it stops like mosquito bites, things like that. It'll stop the itching. I have no idea what's in that and how it works, but it's like magic.
Yeah, here's to your itch problems. Derman.
And that's no joke. I mean, that really is no joke. It really works.
Available at CVS Pharmacy and Walgreens.
All right, Mark, it's Rusty Harris. Can I start getting some of the questions in for you guys and comments?
Make them
Fire
good
away.
All right, so by the way, we want to invite everybody to make sure you comment right here on the show. Retweet the program. Give us the hearts. We're getting a lot of people watching. The show keeps growing. Mark and Chuck, they love you guys, and it's great. By the way, Gypsy says, Gypsy45, Chuck, in case your wife can't make it to the White House, she will volunteer herself.
Somebody just asked if Derman...
All 6'1" of my wife is going to go.
Somebody just asked if Derman has a fragrance. No, it actually does not have a fragrance. It's very, very neutral. But go ahead. Okay, what else you got,
Let's see. We got people who've already retweeted. Keep an eye out for the next DNC fix, says Corey. Beto, the anointed one, will win the nomination. What do you guys think of that?
Veto, the anointed one?
Beto.
Oh, Beto.
You mean as
Beto.
far as 2020 for the Democrats?
Yeah.
He's one of these guys that could come out of nowhere. Who knows? I mean, gosh, people were fooled by Obama, so why couldn't he fool them? And I don't know whether he has the charm. I mean, he's not black, obviously.
He's not Hispanic either.
He's not Hispanic either, even though he says he is. He's like Elizabeth Warren. You know, I'm an Indian, but she's not. He's Hispanic, but he's not. Beto O'Rourke is a member of that Spanish tribe that invaded Ireland.
Dublin.
Just right around Dublin somewhere. So,
the Dublin Mexicans.
I don't know.
And his real name is Robert Francis O'Rourke.
I know. Robert Francis O'Rourke, or Beto, because everybody always called him that. Well,
he sounds like he's right out of central casting for White Christmas. I mean, Robert Francis O'Rourke?
Yeah, right.
Seriously?
I know. Well, you know, it's possible that he could make an impact on the left and woo them into submission. Who knows? I mean,
I think he's a contender. I think Bernie is still at the top of the list.
I think Bernie's kind of old now, don't you? I mean,
I got Bernie and Biden. Bernie and Biden are these guys are serious.
Well,
and
okay.
And Hillary wants to run again.
Yeah, it's really funny. I don't know whether the left will admit it, or even though it's so obvious to everybody on the right, where they now have announced that they're socialist. They're all socialist. So Bernie is kind of a Democrat socialist who's basically a communist. But you know, it's like the Labour Party in Britain. They're socialists. Everybody knows it. They call them the Labour Party, but they're basically communists. What they are, and they're trying to infiltrate the country and run it.
Yeah, but Bernie's got the opportunity to say, "I was socialist when socialist wasn't cool."
He was communist when communist wasn't cool, and he still is. I mean, he'd never admit to that. That would be just a road too far. But quite frankly, he's communist.
And newsflash for you folks, communism is never cool.
JD says, by the way, Mark, they love your radio voice. Let's see here. Robert O'Rourke was secretly assisting the migrant caravan. We should investigate his campaign, says Emmett. The left does not want Hillary running. Chuck, what do you think of Trump's chances in 2020?
I think they're great. It's again this constant attack on trying to separate his voters from him. These people who kind of get uncomfortable and they say, "Well, I don't like what he tweeted" and stuff like that. Man, you know what? He is going to save this country from itself. I've never said that before, but I truly believe it. I mean, I honestly think that Trump is put here for a purpose to give us a chance to save our country. And so I from my point of view, I think he's great, and I think he'll do great.
All right. So speaking of candidates for president, what's that newspaper that we love? The Boston Globe. The Boston Globe is a major supporter of Pocahontas.
Okay, tell me a newspaper that isn't a major supporter of a Democrat.
Well, it's now the Boston Globe.
No, well, yeah, it's because they've embarrassed. She's embarrassed everybody by claiming she was an Indian, and we found out that she's not an Indian any more than you are.
Actually, no. I have my 23andMe. I am actually more Native American than Elizabeth Warren, and I'm a first-generation American.
Okay, that's my point. And everybody knows it. She can't hide behind it anymore. And it's like she took it to an extent to where finally people went, okay, that's enough. That's enough, Elizabeth. Go home, sit down, stop it. We love you, but you're not going to be viable in 2020.
Elizabeth is 1064th Native American. I'm actually like 1.5%. So I'm like, I'm practically off the reservation compared to her.
Can you imagine how she took advantage of Harvard and Harvard allowed her to do it? She built her career on being an Indian from Oklahoma because her grandmother had high cheeks or high cheekbones.
Maybe she meant that she...
Don't go... All right, stop.
I'll say maybe she played a part in the musical Oklahoma while she was in high school and got confused with the high cheekbone thing. Anyways, the Boston Globe says that it is time for her to move on, that her day has passed.
Well, she's still a senator. I mean, you know.
Well, the Globe has said her day is past now. How old is she anyways? Any idea how old she is, Patrick?
Younger than I am. I'm sure of that. Everybody's younger than I am.
I mean, you think about some of these guys, Bernie and Biden, they're both going to be, 78 or 80 in 2020?
Bernie, I think, is my age, and so's Biden.
So they're going to be around 80 years old.
Well, I'm not around 80, but I'm...
No, I mean, in 2020. In 2020?
Yeah, 2020, I'll be... 2021, I'll be 80.
So how old are they?
Elizabeth Warren is 69 years old.
So she's 69. Well, she's just a child compared to
me.
Compared to Bernie. Anyway, I think Bernie will get the nod here.
Do you really? You really do?
Yeah, they stole the election from him last time, so now they kind of owe him one.
We'll see.
I think he could pull it off.
You got to get it over here. What you really
That's
need.
True. So I took a bunch of abuse on Twitter this weekend. And I normally take a lot of abuse, but this was more than usual.
For it.
No, but this was abuse from conservatives this time.
Oh, okay. From what? What'd you do?
The president came out with a tweet about Rex Tillerson, and he said that Rex Tillerson was as dumb as a rock, was lazy as hell, and I couldn't wait to get rid of him.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand Rex Tillerson came out and attacked the president first on NPR.
Exactly right. For no apparent reason other than he wanted to get even.
Now, what I put out on Twitter was that I wish the president had have said Rex Tillerson's disloyal behavior and such on NPR is more evidence of the reason that I had to get rid of him and shows that he could not be trusted at the highest levels of government. And it was a mistake on my part to have originally appointed him. I got attacked by conservatives left and right for saying that. Now, some people loved it, but it was interesting because a lot of people were saying, I probably had 50 people say, you need to be the new chief of staff. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people were supporting me. And then a lot of people were angry because that's why we elected him. You're a fair weather fan. You're not a Trump supporter. I hope you die. I mean, it was nuts.
Yeah, people are really hyper in this environment. They really are. It's interesting. So Bill Kristol is one of those people. Jonah Goldberg is one of those people. Stephen Hayes, who I always really liked, is one of those people. And guess what's going down the drain?
Oh yeah, the Weekly Standard.
Weekly Standard is circling the bowl, so to speak. And Bill Kristol and Stephen Hayes and Jonah Goldberg, all these anti-Trump guys who were quote unquote, and they are conservatives, by the way.
You can kind of throw Jeff or Glenn Beck in that crowd too.
Well, the point is, I'm not sure where Glenn Beck is. He was all anti-Trump for a long, long time, and then he put the hat on and says, I'm going with Trump, and then now he's merged with Mark Levin, which I thought was really odd, but I don't know, maybe it'll work. So the Blaze and Lynn CRTV, is that what it is? I think they're merged
CRTV.
Now. So I don't know, maybe he's back on board again. Glenn's a very smart guy.
He is.
And he sees a lot. He sees around corners pretty well. He really does. I have to give him that. And I think he was far more on track maybe 10 years ago than he is now. But that's just my opinion.
So I do want to explain myself, folks. For those of you who were threatening to kill me, I am a strong supporter of this president. The reason that I said I would like to see him take some tweets and maybe take some responsibility. I would have liked to have seen him said, I made a mistake hiring this idiot. Mm-hmm. I would have liked to have seen him take a little of the blame for it. And the reason I want that is not because I'm mad at the president, not because I disagree with Tillerson being a weenie. It's because I want Donald Trump to get reelected in 2020, and he's losing a lot of moderate people with some of that behavior.
Here's the deal, I think, with a lot of people connected with Trump. Trump he's a tough taskmaster. He expects you to be as on it as he is. Most people are not. Now, obviously, you don't become head of Exxon and you're an idiot. Rex Tillerson's not an idiot.
Correct.
But he is one of those people who probably is used to being, I'm guessing at all this, I really don't know, but I'm just guessing at it, is used to being in charge, being his own man, probably difficult to be second to a taskmaster like Donald Trump and disagree with him, do all these things, have to go through hoops and do all the stuff that he had to do. So I can see where he would probably be very dissatisfied and the wrong choice for that position. And by the way, I was very critical of him as Secretary of State.
I thought he was a bad choice on day one.
Oh, he just did a horrible job. He really, in fact, most of the time he didn't even do a job. He was very, very establishment type.
He was at lunch with Jeff Sessions.
Yeah, but seriously, he just didn't get anything done.
Here's why I thought Tillerson was a bad choice from the beginning. The reason I thought he was a bad choice is because he's a Fortune 500 corporate guy.
Yeah.
And Trump's an entrepreneur. And I didn't ever see a way that an entrepreneur was going to deal with a Fortune 500 CEO because they're diametrically opposed with how they approach business. I mean, you know me. You know a guy I could never get along with a guy like that, with a corporate type.
Well,
that's why guys like me are entrepreneurs, because we can't hold jobs in corporations.
Well, maybe so, but I mean, these people are, like you say, corporate types. They deal in political corporate. The politics of corporations are very different to the politics of government, yet they're very much the same. And he was not in control of his political environment like he was with Exxon, and so he was a bad fit. Trump knows it. He knows it. And they're all just, beating up on each other. I don't see
people really.
I do not understand why Rex Tillerson felt it was absolutely necessary to come out and take a shot at Trump just because it was easy for him to do. And, maybe all his corporate buddies were talking to him one day and said, don't stand for this crap. Fight it.
Yeah, it's ego. So I want to explain this to people here real quick. And that is, there is a huge difference between people lump business together. There's a huge difference between an entrepreneur and an executive. Entrepreneurs are creating things. They're playing with their own money. Corporate executives are hired guns, and they're looking at their next job. I'm going to take the job as CEO of this company, and I'm going to see what I can do there. And 3 years from now, I'm going to be the CEO at this other company. A corporate guy's job is focused on his own career. An entrepreneur is really focused on the business because they own it. So it's a very different mindset. Chuck, I got another one here that I wanted to run by you. Speaking of all this stuff, General Kelly is going to be leaving.
There's a guy I could never get a beat on. I mean, obviously, I like the military. Trump likes the military. I like generals. There are different kinds of generals. There are field generals who fight. There are political generals who do politics. Never the twain shall meet. But I could never get a hand on Kelly, whether I'm sure he was trying to run the look. I'm positive of this. When Trump first came into office, excuse me, I'm sure that it was kind of chaotic because nobody had ever done this before. He was surrounded by, Ranch Priebus and people who were pulling him 14 different directions for the establishment, for what he was trying to do. And it took some time probably to settle down, and it was a little chaotic. So when you pull a guy like Madison, or not Madison, but Kelly in to run the White House, so to speak, he immediately put up a giant wall. You can't come in. You can't come in. You can't do this. You can't do that. And Trump is one of those guys that's kind of accessible. He's used to saying, come on in. I'll talk to you. Yeah, come on. And so Kelly is trying to put some discipline in there. So he's freeing up Trump to do the things he needs to do besides being sidetracked by people, bending his ear all the time. And it's a tough place to be. It really is. So whether he did a great job or not, I'm sure it's got to be very frustrating. And I get back to this, that these guys are older. They don't have the energy that Trump has. They don't have the drive that he has. And I'm sure he has the gravitas and all that kind of stuff, and maybe a wonderful general, a wonderful guy. I don't know him. But eventually I would think it would wear you down, just wear you out to where you say, okay, I've got to let somebody else come in and do this for a while.
Well, I think it wore Kelly down. It doesn't wear Trump down. He lives.
No, Trump, and that's the point. Trump just doesn't get worn down. He's like the Energizer Bunny, and everybody else is dropping around him.
Now, the media right now, you notice the media is saying the White House is in chaos and the president can't find anyone to take the chief of staff job.
Yeah, but they're always saying that.
But let me give you some clues here, people. I know our people know this. That's one of the most powerful seats in Washington, D.C. There's a line out the freaking door of people who want that job.
Yeah.
See, Rusty Humphreys wants the job. But it's true, though. You know that, Russ. There's a lineup of people who want that job right now.
Of course. It's a powerful job. Why wouldn't you want it? It's what you're in Washington for, is to have power.
It makes I never thought of that. I'm married, but geez, it'd be a great pickup line. Oh, hey, you want to go to the Oval Office?
Yeah, right.
I suppose. So speaking of Clinton, thanks for that segue. The Evening with the Clintons. Tickets are available across 15 different cities across America and Canada.
What? I mean, talk about the wind out of the sails of the ship at sea. Man, oh man, it's just basically full stop, isn't it?
The tickets are now on Groupon. You can now get them like 2 for 1 on Groupon.
Well, they were giving them away in Toronto, and they were charging like $6 for them. And
$7, Chuck.
Oh, excuse me. Okay.
Be fair.
But the point is, I mean, who wants to listen to Clinton's bloviate about what happened to them and what's going on when they can't affect what's going on, and who cares about what happens to them except the people that voted for her or didn't vote? Who cares?
Now, I still think that this
and they got to pay to go see them.
Yeah, and some of the tickets are supposed to be as high as $1,000. But
well, let me ask you something. If you go to see the Clintons speak and they're in this tour, what are you going to walk away with? What is going to be the value for your money? Just to see them in person on a stage?
Well, if you're an intern, you might get a free squeeze.
No. Come on, I'm deadly serious about this. What is the audience going to walk away with? What do you get for your money?
You get to be $7 lighter when you walk out the door from your $7 ticket.
Well, are they going to teach you something that you didn't know, or
no?
For me, it's a stand-up routine. It's a comedy.
What?
Yeah,
it's a comedy show. It's like Andrew Dice Clay coming out.
So I've got a question for our listeners. These tickets are going on sale for $7. If Blunt Force Truth, folks, if we go out and buy a block of 100 tickets, can we get 100 listeners that will all show up? We will give the tickets to you free. The only thing you have to do is sit in the seats and heckle the Clintons for the entire program. We will pay for the seats.
You're very bad. You're so bad. I can't believe you said that.
You can sign up right now. Rusty Humphreys will take your information, and we will send you your free tickets. Make sure that you call us from your cell phone so that we can hear the heckling.
Yes.
But there you go. Rusty Humphreys will be there with you. But at any rate, I'm telling you, Chuck, when you look at this thing, it was a 15-city tour. Why 2 of them are in Canada, I'm not sure, other than they're socialists, so I guess they belong there. The last day of this tour is on the anniversary of the day she announced she was running for president 4 years ago. I don't think that was a coincidence.
I think that Hillary believes that people really care and that it's not over until the 2020 election. And I don't think that people hold on to that thought that long. They will switch and go to somebody else. And she's trying to take the air out of that space, and it's just not working.
I'm hoping that their lack of being able to get anyone to come and see them gets them a clue. I'm not sure that she's capable of it. I think Bill can get a clue.
It will not deter. It will not deter her or him, either one. They will act like it never happened. Which is what Democrats do. They always act like nothing ever happened when they lose or whatever. You'd think they won.
We did just have one of our listeners. You were asking a question, what would you get there? And somebody actually just said, Hillary will gag the flu on you. So you will come away with something. So anyways, this thing was made to last. I'm telling you, I believe that the intention in this tour was on the last night of the tour, on the anniversary of her announcing her presidency, she was going to announce
again. Yeah. Well,
for
maybe
2020.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe this will change. Some of these spots might get canceled. I personally have heard there's a rumor that these tickets are going to start being offered as free with purchase when you buy Drambuie at your local liquor store. So buy a bottle of Drambuie and you get 2 tickets, and you can set yourself on fire with the Drambuie while you're listening to the Clintons.
So I've mentioned this before, but let me get into this a little bit deeper. One of the things that they tell you when you are very successful in Hollywood, they will say, okay, you're now a star. Don't believe your press. Don't believe it. It's a trap. They'll tell you how great you are. They'll build you up and then they'll knock you down. Don't believe your press. And for years, I thought they meant Variety, Hollywood Reporter, stuff like that. I really did.
Yeah.
Well, because it was obvious. That's
naive in your
that's
day,
the
early days.
Well, that's the press. But it's really the people who are around you that do all of these things. And with Hillary, she has a whole lot of people who are on talk shows every Sunday, on panels every night on CNN and MSNBC and places like that, who are still supporting and still say she's wonderful and she should have won and da-da-da-da, and this goes on and on. And she's believing that press that just continues to feed the beast. And so I'm not surprised that they're out there still believing that they have an impact on the American people, because she honestly believes she won that election. She believes it. And that Trump
does believe it.
And Trump did not deserve to win. And by the way, she's not alone. There are a lot of I tweeted something out today and people went, oh, are you crazy? You're just now figuring this out. But in a way, yes, I was, and no, I wasn't. And I said, we're finding out now that most of these people who claim they're Republicans in the deep state aren't Republicans at all. They're Democrats at heart. That's who they are. I mean, James Comey is a Democrat.
Progressive.
They're progressive Democrats. That's what they are. And they call themselves Republicans, and they're not Republicans at all. So I would venture to say that our government is probably very easily in the 90% Democrat, socialist Democrat.
Of course, well, look at the bureaucrats are union members.
Yeah, because you're talking about millions and millions of people. So, out of those millions, I doubt very few are.
By the way, this is what I'm sending everyone for Christmas this year, Chuck.
Oh, yeah? Is that what I get? Am I going to get one?
I'm sending you a Blunt Force Truth. Oh, look at this.
I had to do it.
There you go, folks. BluntForceTruth.com. You can get a shirt just like Chuck Woolery is wearing, or one of these handsome mugs, just like I'm holding in my hand here.
We should put a little mustache on that mug.
So I do this. I'm just going to tell you this real quick. So I have one of our hats here, which is Make America a Republic.
Republican. That's my big deal.
So I wear this hat when I'm out on my motorcycle. So I'm out riding a Harley. I'm wearing leather. I put this hat on when I take my helmet off. And then I walk into like the most left-wing kooky bookstore coffee shop that I can
do live in Detroit.
And then people go, they look like this and they look at the hat and then they go, Make a republic again? I don't know. And they're like, should I hate him? I'm not sure if I should be mad at him right now. And he looks dangerous, and he's on a motorcycle, and he's wearing leather, and I think that's a gun. Maybe I should let this guy go by with his red hat. But anyways, yes, I wear the red hat just so I can irritate people. You couldn't believe that I do something to irritate people, would you?
No. That's. I'm surprised you're still alive.
My wife is surprised I'm alive. You know that?
Seriously. You are like a natural, you're like a little thorn. That just ow, what is that? It's Mark Young. Ow!
Oh. I keep hearing people call me prickly or something word like that. So it could be.
I said a little thorn. It's kind of.
Yeah. So I've got one last thing here. Wait a minute. Chuck just froze up on it. That froze him. That was so dramatic. It actually froze him, Rusty.
It did. Maybe he'll come back. Chuck.
I actually froze Chuck Woolery. I don't know how I managed to do that. Well, the last thing I was going to talk about is Kamala Harris. We'll see if Chuck makes it back in here.
If not, at least he's still on the screen. So you got that. He is on the screen.
So Kamala Harris was way out front, Russ, on the Me Too movement. And she was promoting this whole idea of believe every woman. Except now the woman who used to work in her office leaked the information that she was sexually abused by Larry Wallace, who worked under Kamala Harris. And it gets even better. Kamala Harris's office paid her $400,000 to go away, be quiet, and never ask for a job with them again. And Kamala Harris says that she was not aware that her office paid this woman $400,000.
No,
he's back.
What? I have no idea what happened. I just all of a sudden my screen rotated on me, and we're at the end of the show, and I thought, no, I can't go out now. I've got to be able to say goodbye.
Well, I'll tell you really quick where we were at. We were talking about Kamala Harris, who's out in front of the Me Too movement, Chuck. Mm-hmm. And now one of her former staffers has leaked it that she was paid $400,000 to shut up about Kamala Harris's employee, Larry Wallace, sexually abusing her. Mm-hmm. And Kamala Harris says she had no knowledge about this. She didn't know about the $400,000. And now remember, Kamala Harris, the hashtag, believe all women. That was her hashtag, mm-hmm. right?
Well, they're all phonies.
I don't have enough information to know whether I can believe this woman or not.
You know
what?
I wonder.
I thought you believe all women.
I wonder if people look at this and just go, well, it's just politics. It's just people. It's what they do. They lie all the time. And then they say, well, Trump's a liar and, nobody else is a liar. Shut up. It's just, it never stops. Everybody's lying to everybody about something.
I'm lying to you right now.
You know what I'm interested in? I'm interested in seeing what gets done. And as you are, I want to know what happens, how you solve the problems, get to the bottom of them, do something about it. What's Trump going to do with China? What's going to happen with Google? I mean, Google is like, big brother. It's true. It is. And I was wondering today, watching the questionings of Google, for instance, as to, just to wrap up here, it seemed like all of these congressmen were afraid that they had so much information on them that they might release it. They were treading so softly.
Google has all their search history.
Well, that's what I mean. So it's like, leave them alone. Don't talk to them. Let them go.
You can see this guy. Well, Senator, when you were on that porn site last night.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
So I got to tell you, this is the fastest 1 hour of my week is doing this program with you.
Fast. It goes by quick.
It does go by fast, doesn't it? Yeah. It does. It goes by so fast.
And we don't even get paid for it, so go figure.
Oh no! I keep getting these tweets telling me how I make my living doing this.
Yeah, I know.
People, and that's the deal here, folks. We don't make a living doing this.
Believe me.
We do this because we love our country and we care and we want to have a voice and a platform and try to have some kind of effect in our own little way, whatever it is.
That is it. And we really appreciate it when you tune in and listen to us. We hope you will next week. And next Thursday, even though that's a little delayed, but we really appreciate everyone in our audience. We appreciate
all
listening.
those hearts popping out right now,
and we appreciate you. We appreciate you retweeting us, and we love you. You're our audience. You're the people who carry our message and agree with us, and some of you don't, and that's okay. But we thank you so much for listening to Blunt Force Truth, and we'll see you next time. Mark and I on Blunt Force Truth. Bye-bye, everybody.